The truth you need to hear. Have you ever asked yourself, why can't I stop thinking about them? They left. Or maybe you did. The conversations are over. The texts have stopped. You've deleted their number more times than you can count, tried to stay busy, focused on yourself. But somehow, they still sneak into your thoughts. In the middle of the night, during the happiest moments, even when you should be moving on. And here's what's even more frustrating. You don't want to be thinking about them anymore. But you are. And it's driving you crazy. Let me tell you something that might shock you. You're not weak. You're not crazy. And you're definitely not alone. There is a reason why someone stays on your mind, far beyond love, heartbreak, or nostalgia. And in this video, we're going deep, not into cliches or surface level advice, but into the real psychology, emotion, and meaning behind this experience that so many people struggle with in silence. Because this isn't just about a person, it's about you, your attachment, your pain, your unspoken questions, your unfinished healing, and your soul's cry for closure or understanding. The truth is, when someone lives in your mind long after they've left your life, it's not always because you miss them. It's often because your mind is trying to teach you something through them. Maybe they showed up to awaken a part of you that's been asleep. Maybe they reminded you of something you needed to heal. Or maybe their role in your life was never meant to be permanent. It was meant to spark transformation. But here's where things get powerful. You can take back control. You can understand the signals your mind is sending, unpack the emotion beneath the obsession, and reclaim your energy. You don't have to be stuck in a loop of memories, what-ifs, and imaginary conversations. You can be free. But first, you need to know the reasons. The real reasons. And that's exactly what this video is going to uncover. 8 powerful truths behind why someone keeps coming back into your thoughts, and how to break the cycle with strength, clarity, and self-love. So before you scroll away or try to distract yourself again, pause. Breathe. You didn't click this video by accident. You're here for a reason, because deep down, you're ready. Ready to understand, ready to heal, ready to grow. Let's begin this journey together. You're about to discover that this mental and emotional tug of war you're stuck in isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of something greater. Stay with me. The silent battle in your mind. Have you ever found yourself going about your day, working, eating, laughing with friends, when suddenly they pop into your head, out of nowhere? No warning, no context. Just their face, their voice, a memory, a feeling, and before you know it, your heart sinks, your energy shifts, and your thoughts are hijacked by someone who may not even be thinking about you at all. Why does that happen? Why does someone stay stuck in your mind like a song on repeat, even when they're not physically present in your life? The answer isn't always simple, but what's happening in that moment is real. You're fighting a silent battle between your thoughts and your desire for emotional freedom. And it's exhausting. You might feel frustrated or even ashamed. You try to push them out. You distract yourself. You keep busy. But still, their presence lingers. Why? Because when someone is always on your mind, it's not just about them. It's about what they represent within you. Sometimes, that person symbolizes a dream you had, a feeling of being seen, loved, wanted. Other times, they symbolize a moment you can't get back. A chapter that ended without closure. They may have been the first to truly understand you, or the one who shattered your trust. Either way, they marked you emotionally. And the mind doesn't easily forget emotional fingerprint. It's important to realize, not all thoughts about someone mean you're still in love, or that you need them back. Sometimes, you're just trying to process. Your brain replays people who left a strong impact, positive or negative, because it's trying to make sense of it. It's seeking understanding, clarity, resolution. But in the absence of answers, your mind loops and you feel stuck. But here's the hard truth you need to hear. Thinking about them constantly doesn't mean they're your destiny. It might just mean they're your deepest wound. And wounds don't heal by being ignored. They heal when they're understood. When they're faced with honesty and grace, when you realize that obsessively thinking about someone might not be about love. It might be about loss. It might be about identity. It might be about the version of you that existed when they were part of your world. The good news? You are not powerless in this mental loop. You can acknowledge their presence in your mind without allowing it to control your life. You can sit with the thought, understand it, then release it. Because healing begins the moment you stop asking, why can't I forget them? And start asking, what did they awaken in me that still needs healing? So don't run from the thoughts. Face them, learn from them, then free yourself from them. Because your mind is a sacred place, and not everyone deserves to live there. Emotional attachment and energy exchange. Let's talk about emotional attachment. Because when someone is constantly on your mind, it's often not just about the person, it's about the energy you exchange with them. You see, every connection you make with someone isn't just physical or verbal, it's energetic. You pour parts of yourself into conversations, moments, laughter, vulnerability, even arguments. And the more emotionally invested you were, the deeper that connection goes beneath the surface. That's why it's not always easy to just stop thinking about them. It's not about willpower. It's about unwinding a bond that was emotionally charged. Emotional attachment doesn't need constant presence. It lives in memories, in shared dreams, in hopes that once existed between you and them. Sometimes the person on your mind isn't even in your life anymore, but the version of them that lived in your heart still lingers. So that version, that feeling, that experience, it doesn't fade easily because energy lingers. The conversations, the closeness, the emotional highs and lows, they all leave a trace. Think of it like emotional fingerprints left on your soul. You can try to ignore them, but unless you truly cleanse your energy, they'll still whisper their presence when you're quiet, alone, or emotionally vulnerable. But here's what you must understand. Just because the energy was real doesn't mean it's still serving you. Many of us confuse attachment with meaning. We think, if I can't stop thinking about them, they must be important. But sometimes, what you're clinging to isn't the person, it's the feeling they gave you. The validation, the excitement, the comfort, the illusion of connection. And when you give someone emotional access to you, they become part of your internal world. But what happens when they leave and you don't take your energy back? They stay in your mind, not because they're meant for you, but because you never reclaimed what you gave away. This is why emotional detachment is powerful. Not as an act of coldness, but as an act of self-respect. It's saying, I recognize what we shared, but I choose now to call my energy back. I choose to take back my peace. So, how do you begin detaching emotionally? You start by honoring your feelings, not fighting them. You feel the pain, you acknowledge the bond, but then you shift focus. Not on what you lost, but on what you still have. Your dreams, your feeling, your future. You create new routines, new sources of joy. You set boundaries, not just with them, but with your own thoughts. And most importantly, you give yourself time. Emotional release isn't instant. It's a process. But every day you choose peace over obsession, presence over longing is a step toward wholeness. Remember, your energy is sacred. Don't let someone live in your mind rent-free when they no longer pour into your soul. Take your power back. Because the person you need the most right now is you. Unfinished stories keep replaying. One of the biggest reasons someone lingers in your mind is because the story between you feels unfinished. There was no proper ending, no closure, no real goodbye, just silence, distance, a pause that never turned into a period. And your mind? It hates open loops. We are wired to seek resolution. That's why we finish movies even when we know how they'll end. That's why we reread text messages looking for hidden meanings. That's why someone you haven't spoken to in months or even years can still take up space in your head because the story didn't end the way your heart wanted it to. Maybe they walked away without explaining why. Maybe they ghosted you after telling you they cared. Maybe they loved you one day and treated you like a stranger the next, and now you're left with a mess of emotions that never got sorted. It's like your heart is trying to finish a book without having the last few chapters. So what happens? Your brain keeps replaying scenes, trying to rewrite the ending. It imagines scenarios where they come back, where they finally say what they never did, where they admit they were wrong, where everything suddenly makes sense. But here's the truth. Closure doesn't always come from them. Sometimes closure is the story you decide to stop telling yourself. You see, you may never get the apology, you may never hear the reason, you may never understand why they left or why things changed. And that's a hard pill to swallow, but it's also one of the most powerful shifts you can make. Because when you accept that not all stories need a final chapter from the other person, you reclaim your ability to write your own ending. Unfinished stories often leave us feeling powerless, like we're stuck in limbo, waiting for someone to come back and complete the emotional puzzle. But here's what no one tells you. You don't have to wait. You don't need permission to move on. Sometimes, the closure you're seeking isn't about them at all. It's about you giving yourself the freedom to let go of the hope, the questions, the waiting. It's about standing in front of the emotional wreckage and saying, this may never make sense, and I'm still choosing to move forward. Letting go of an unfinished story doesn't mean you didn't care. It doesn't mean the connection wasn't real. It means you're choosing peace over chaos, growth over confusion, self-worth over obsession. And that's not weakness. That's wisdom. So the next time they cross your mind and you feel that familiar ache of something unresolved, remind yourself of this. You are allowed to close the chapter, even if they never gave you an ending. Because healing is not waiting for the past to fix itself. Healing is deciding the past no longer controls your peace. Mental habits and overthinking. Sometimes it's not love. It's not destiny. It's not even emotional connection. It's a mental habit you've unintentionally created, a loop that keeps pulling your thoughts back to that same person over and over again. Your mind is incredibly powerful, but it can also become your biggest trap when left unchecked. When you constantly think about someone, your brain begins to associate them with importance, even if they're no longer relevant to your life. That repeated thought becomes a pattern, a routine, a reflex. Like muscle memory, your mind gets used to circling back to that one name, that one face, that one memory. And before you know it, they're not just in your heart, they're etched into your thinking process. This is where overthinking becomes dangerous. Because you're no longer just remembering someone, you're dissecting everything, every word they said, every gesture they made, every message, every silence, every little action. You analyze it, replay it, try to interpret hidden meanings. Your mind becomes a courtroom where every interaction is placed under a microscope, and you are both the lawyer and the judge, searching endlessly for a verdict that never seems to come. Why did they say that? What did they mean? What if I did something wrong? Overthinking keeps you stuck in a cycle that offers no real answers, just more questions, more confusion, more emotional exhaustion. And what's worse, overthinking creates illusions. It makes you believe they meant more than they did, that there's something still there, that maybe they're thinking about you too. But the truth is, you might just be stuck in a mental loop, and the only way to break that loop is through awareness. You have to catch yourself when the thoughts come, not to suppress them, but to redirect them, to challenge them, to ask, is this thought helping me? Is this obsession making me grow or hurting me stuck? You break the pattern by becoming intentional, by replacing those thoughts with actions, with goals, with new routines, new people, new experiences that pull your mind toward the present instead of anchoring it in the past. You see, your mind will always revisit what's familiar, even if it's painful. But you have the power to train it to focus on what's healthy, on what's empowering, on what aligns with your future, not just your feelings. So the next time you catch yourself spiraling in thought, pause, breathe, ground yourself, and remind your mind, we're not going there today. We've got better places to be. Because freedom starts in the mind. And when you take control of your thoughts, you take back control of your life. Emotional attachment and energy exchange. Let's talk about emotional attachment. Because when someone is constantly on your mind, it's often not just about the person, it's about the energy you exchange with them. You see, every connection you make with someone isn't just physical or verbal, it's energetic. You pour parts of yourself into conversations, moments, laughter, vulnerability, even arguments. And the more emotionally invested you were, the deeper that connection goes beneath the surface. That's why it's not always easy to just stop thinking about them. It's not about willpower. It's about unwinding a bond that was emotionally charged. Emotional attachment doesn't need constant presence. It lives in memories, in shared dreams, in hopes that once existed between you and them. Sometimes the person on your mind isn't even in your life anymore, but the version of them that lived in your heart still lingers. So that version, that feeling, that experience, it doesn't fade easily, because energy lingers. The conversations, the closeness, the emotional highs and lows, they all leave a trace. Think of it like emotional fingerprints left on your soul. You can try to ignore them, but unless you truly cleanse your energy, they'll still whisper their presence when you're quiet, alone, or emotionally vulnerable. But here's what you must understand. Just because the energy was real doesn't mean it's still serving you. Many of us confuse attachment with meaning. We think, if I can't stop thinking about them, they must be important. But sometimes, what you're clinging to isn't the person, it's the feeling they gave you. The validation, the excitement, the comfort, the illusion of connection. And when you give someone emotional access to you, they become part of your internal world. But what happens when they leave and you don't take your energy back? They stay in your mind, not because they're meant for you, but because you never reclaimed what you gave away. This is why emotional detachment is powerful, not as an act of coldness, but as an act of self-respect. It's saying, I recognize what we shared, but I choose now to call my energy back. I choose to take back my peace. So, how do you begin detaching emotionally? You start by honoring your feelings, not fighting them. You feel the pain, you acknowledge the bond, but then you shift focus. Not on what you lost, but on what you still have. Your dreams, your feeling, your future. You create new routines, new sources of joy. You set boundaries, not just with them, but with your own thoughts. And most importantly, you give yourself time. Emotional release isn't instant. It's a process. But every day you choose peace over obsession, presence over longing is a step toward wholeness. Remember, your energy is sacred. Don't let someone live in your mind rent-free when they no longer pour into your soul. Take your power back. Because the person you need the most right now is you. The role of unfinished business and lack of closure. One of the most common reasons someone stays on your mind is because the story between you and them never really ended. It just stopped. There's a difference between an ending and a closure. An ending might happen suddenly, a breakup, a ghosting, a fight, or even a gradual fading away. But closure? That's emotional understanding. It's the ability to walk away with peace, with clarity, with acceptance. When you don't get closure, your mind keeps trying to finish the story. It replays the last conversation. It analyzes everything that went wrong. It creates new scenarios in your head where you get to say what you couldn't say, ask what you never got to ask, or hear the apology you never received. That's where obsession is born, from unanswered questions and emotional gaps. We are naturally wired to seek resolution. When something feels unfinished, our brain treats it like a puzzle with missing pieces. So we keep going back to it, trying to make sense of the chaos, trying to fix something that may not even be fixable. And the truth is, sometimes closure doesn't come from the other person. Sometimes they're not willing, not available, or not capable of giving it. And waiting for them to explain, validate, or apologize only keeps you stuck in emotional limbo. But here's the power you must claim today. You can give yourself closure. Yes, you can. You don't need a final talk. You don't need a perfect explanation. You don't need them to agree or to feel what you feel. All you need is a decision, the decision to stop reopening a door that leads nowhere. Closure is a form of self-respect. It's you saying, I may never get all the answers, but I choose peace over confusion. I choose healing over holding on. Write that letter you never sent. Say out loud what you wish you could tell them, and then release it. Not for them, for you. Because the more you search for closure from someone who's already left your story, the more power you give them over your peace. But the moment you decide to close the chapter yourself, you stop being a prisoner of what was, and you start becoming the author of what will be. Unfinished business only has power over you if you keep returning to it. You can choose today to make peace with the silence, with the unknown, with the things that were never said. And in doing so, you'll stop carrying them in your heart and start making space for yourself again. You deserve peace, not just answers. You deserve wholeness, not waiting. Let that be your closure. Your subconscious is trying to teach you something. Have you ever stopped to wonder why someone won't leave your mind, despite time, distance, or even your best efforts to forget? What if their constant presence in your thoughts isn't just emotional attachment or unfinished business, but a message from your subconscious mind? Yes, sometimes the person who lives rent-free in your thoughts is not meant to stay in your life, but to reveal something within you. The human brain is a powerful processor, but your subconscious? It's a deep ocean of memories, patterns, fears, and desires. And often, it holds on to things you haven't fully processed yet. Not because it wants to torment you, but because it's trying to bring attention to something important. Sometimes, that person represents a wound you haven't healed yet. Maybe they made you feel unworthy, and now your mind keeps looping back to them, not because of love, but because your subconscious wants you to address that wound. It's saying, heal this part of you. Let's not carry this pain forward. Other times that person symbolizes something you desire: love, safety, validation, adventure. Your mind isn't really stuck on them. It's stuck on the version of yourself that you were when you were with them. The excitement, the attention, the feeling of being seen. Your subconscious isn't chasing the person. It's chasing the feeling. Understanding this is powerful because it shifts your focus from asking, why can't I forget them, to what are they trying to show me about myself? That question is where growth begins. Ask yourself, what did I feel when I was with them that I don't feel now? What part of me still seeks their approval or attention? What lesson is my mind trying to bring to the surface? The more honest you are with yourself, the more clarity you'll gain, and with clarity comes release. Remember, the goal isn't to erase the memory. The goal is to understand it, learn from it, and free yourself from the emotional grip it has on you. Sometimes, the people who haunt your thoughts are simply reflections of the places inside you that need healing, compassion, and self-awareness. They're mirrors. And when you recognize the mirror, you realize you don't need to obsess over the reflection. You need to focus on what it's showing you. So next time they cross your mind unexpectedly, pause. Don't panic. Don't drown in emotions. Ask yourself, what do I need to understand right now? What is my soul asking me to heal? This shift from emotional reaction to conscious reflection is how you reclaim your power. You're not weak for thinking about them, but you grow strong the moment you stop chasing their memory and start listening to the wisdom your mind is revealing. Because healing isn't about forgetting someone, it's about remembering who you are beyond them. It's time to reclaim your energy and move forward. Now that you understand the emotional, psychological, and even spiritual reasons someone stays on your mind, here's the truth you need to hear. It's time to reclaim your energy. Yes, thinking about someone constantly, especially when it begins to interfere with your peace, means that they're occupying a space in your life they no longer deserve. And if you're serious about healing, growth, and becoming your highest self, you must take deliberate steps to shift your focus back to you. Ask yourself honestly, what has holding on to their memory done for you? Has it healed you? Has it brought you peace? Or has it drained you, distracted you, and delayed your growth? Because no matter how special they once were, no matter what you felt, your life was never meant to revolve around a person who is no longer present. You have goals to chase. You have dreams to pursue. You have healing to do. And every moment spent dwelling on someone who left, hurt you, or simply moved on is a moment lost from becoming the best version of yourself. So how do you begin the process of truly letting go? Start with awareness. Begin to recognize when your mind drifts back to them. Don't judge yourself, just notice. The goal isn't to force the thoughts away, but to gently redirect them. Every time they come up, choose to shift your focus. Read a book, take a walk, journal your emotions, practice deep breathing. Remind yourself of your worth. Next, take inventory of your daily habits. Are you checking their social media? Are you revisiting old messages, pictures, or memories? If so, it's time to break the cycle. Block, delete, remove whatever keeps triggering the obsession, not out of hate, but out of self-love. Because true strength is not in pretending you don't care. It's in protecting your peace. Also, pour into your own life. Build a routine that excites you, reconnect with your passions. Surround yourself with people who uplift and inspire you. The more full your life becomes, the less room there is for thoughts that no longer serve you. And finally, forgive Forgive them, not because they deserve it, but because you do. And more importantly, forgive yourself for caring too much, for staying too long, for giving too many chances, for hoping when you should have moved on.